should I do for my workout today? That's probably the #1 question I get asked by my athletes. So today I'm going to take you through an upper body workout that I wrote for one of my college lacrosse players. I'll give you a full breakdown on what your form should look like and explain why we do what we do. I'll leave a copy of the workout down below in the description so you can give it a shot on your next upper body day. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Zach Vaughn, and I help athletes take their game to the next level by being faster, stronger, and more resilient. For upper body days, we'll always start the warm up with our T-spine and work our way out. This preacher stretch is good for stretching into some more extension and loosening up the upper back. This will help get the arm up overhead. Notice I'm holding a roller between the hands. This is just to keep my hands in line with my elbows and that shoulder at external rotation so that my elbows don't rotate out and take tension off the lats. Next, we'll move into a sleeper stretch to target the rotator cuff and allow us to get into more internal rotation. IR is really important for force production, so making sure we have good mobility there is the first step. You want to make sure that you have your shoulders stacked and pin that bottom shoulder blade to the ground to make sure we keep tension in the right spot. If you have good mobility here, you should be able to get your hand, lay it flat against the ground. After opening up some range of motion, we'll use something a little bit more dynamic to get the blood flowing. This thread the needle is really good for opening up rotation and to get those shoulder blades moving around the rib cage. Make sure to keep both arms straight here for maximum leverage and to keep all the tension on that shoulder girdle. Then I grab a band and go through some overhead rotations. Again, just trying to move the shoulder through a large range of motion to make sure everything feels smooth. If anything feels wonky, we can go back and hit another stretch and come back and try again. Usually I'll stick to sets of 20, but it could go up or down based on how we're feeling that day. Finally, for the last movement of the warm-up, we'll get a little bit of weight in our hands. This is the absolute hardest pressing variation, but I like it because there's so much involved. The seated position forces you to get all of your range of motion from your upper back and shoulder without borrowing any from your lower back. The upside down kettlebell forces your rotator cuff to stabilize throughout the entire movement. I'll usually finish with 2 sets of 8 or 10 each side here, and it really gets your muscles firing and ready to go for a good workout. The main pairing of the day was a push press with a weighted chin up. You always want to start with your hardest and most intense exercises and work down the spectrum from there. The push press is great for lacrosse players to build upper body power, especially through the shoulder. And we wanted to minimize fatigue here, so we stuck with low volume and went with 5 sets of 3, focusing on speed and technique. The biggest fault I see with the push press is losing alignment. You really want to keep your rib cage stacked over your pelvis and not arch your back to keep your chest up and get the bar over your head. To balance out the pressing, we went with heavy, tempoed chin-ups for 5 sets of 5. Most high school and college athletes spend way more time pressing than they do pulling, so I spend a lot of time trying to build the back up. Strong lats are really important for shoulder health, and building strength in that overhead position from a dead hang is a huge part of that. For the secondary movements, we went with a unilateral push and pull. We went 3 sets of 8 on a single arm dumbbell row and single arm floor press. Similar thought process as the main movements, just a little bit higher rep range. The key for the dumbbell row is staying in the lat by pulling back and towards your pocket. If you start pulling up and finish next to your rib cage, you're gonna get way too much bicep and be considerably weaker. Both of these exercises will challenge your rotational stability quite a bit. This is important for lacrosse players because rotation is the basis behind how you pass and shoot. The dumbbell row you can load up pretty heavy, and the single arm floor press is way harder than it looks. With this specific setup, the dumbbell will roll you over at the bottom if you let it, so you have to really brace your core to keep you flat and maintain position. Finally, for the accessories, we went with an incline dumbbell skull crusher and a horizontal cable chop. Your accessories are almost always going to be higher volume because they work smaller muscles and you can only handle so much intensity in one session. We went with 3 sets of 15 on these skull crushers, and I've been loving this variation lately because it's kind of like a combination between an overhead tricep extension and a traditional skull crusher. It's easy enough that you can really fry the triceps, but the angle allows you to build some capacity in the overhead position, which was the theme of this workout. For the cable chops, we went with 3 sets of 10 each side. After we've been resisting a lot of heavy rotation in the previous pairing, I wanted to finish off with something a little bit more dynamic and apply it over a larger range of motion. For this variation specifically, I'm focused less on isolation of the obliques and more on rotation of the system as a whole. So you'll notice a lot of rotation coming from both the pelvis and the rib cage throughout the exercise. And that's a wrap. You'll notice no fancy exercises or complicated rep schemes. My priority is making sure my athletes progress week to week with proper technique. If you like this style of video, want to see more workout breakdowns, make sure to leave me a comment down below or head over to my Instagram where you can follow my daily programming for every sport.